2. While he waited for the drug to wear off, Horan watched the blood flow from the dead girl. It slowed to a trickle, then stopped, leaving a dark stain on his floor that soaked into his chips. The first thing he did once his body became his own was throw up, the acrid stench overpowering the rank smell of the woman's blood. The second thing he did was reach for his screen and call Snake.
"Bro,"
Snake said, his face leering from the screen, ear-to-ear grin that showed the gaps in his teeth.
"you changed your mind?
What?
My Meditech friend. You want to sell an organ or two? Worth it, man.
I'm not selling my body.
Do his research stuff then. Good money, and the rash goes down eventually. Did last time, anyway. Always looking for new volunteers."
I have a job. A proper one. Honest money.
Right. So you moved out of that dump yet?
As if it was that easy. The job paid well, if he still had it after what had happened, but the money still went far too fast. And it took time to look for new digs. Besides, this place had everything he needed. And his boss's dead daughter on his floor. Look, I've got a problem. Could do with a little help.
Hey, lay it on me, man. Girl problems, right?
Could say that.
Then you've come to the right man, bro. Ain't nothing I don't know about women.
Horan cringed. Nothing like that. He took a deep breath. You know anything about removing bodies? Snake didn't show the slightest surprise. He smiled lopsided as always and brushed a clump of hair away from his face.
Be right over, bro.
Horan didn't move while he waited. He might have control of his body back, but everything ached. It was like he'd run for hours, and then had a gang of goons use him as a punch bag for another hour. His door was still open, the assassin hadn't sealed it when he left, and Snake waltzed into the room 10 minutes later, his boots squeaking on the flooring. The man looked around, took in Horan stretched out on the sofa, the pile of puke on the seat next to him, and then the dead girl. Snake's face blanched.
That who I think it is?
He said.
You know who her dad is, right?
Course I do. And I didn't do it. Snake shrugged, all his annoying nonchalance returning.
Ain't no judge, bro. Man's gotta do what he's gotta do.
He ambled over, nudged the girl with his foot. Then he looked around again, dropped his hands to his sides. His mouth pursed, and Horan could hear some feeble attempt at whistling. You want to shut the door?
Thought you had it open for a reason.
To let everyone see this. Horan managed to wave a hand at the mess. Struggling to move at the moment.
Should have taken me up on those fat buster pills. Could have got a bulk order. Bulk for bulk.
Snake giggled. Just shut the door.
Right.
Snake took his time about it. But at least he'd stopped whistling. Still wandered around the room once the door was sealed though. So, you got any ideas? Horan asked after a couple of minutes of silence.
Ideas? Oh right. The body.
Snake shrugged.
Trash?
Horan gave him a stare.
Gotcha. Has to be permanent. Her old man know?
If not yet, he will do.
So, he gonna want the body back? You know, give her a funeral, all that jazz?
Jazz? Where the hell did this freak get words like that from? No idea, Horan said. And then a horrible thought rose. If her father didn't know where she was now, he'd find out. And that would put Horan in the firing line. Even if the assassin told the truth, things were bound to come up. But it wasn't like he'd gone behind the old man's back. Not really. So he'd made a bit of a profit, exaggerated a few costs. Nothing wrong with that. Just business, right? The big man would understand. Wouldn't he? Horan swallowed. He was screwed. I've got to tell him.
Who?
Her father. Come clean. Say I'm sorry. Snake shrugged.
Not sure, but whatever feels right.
None of this felt right, but Horan tapped the screen, called up the man's contacts, pressed to connect. The call icon flashed.
Yes.
The voice sent a chill through Horan, and he swallowed, smoothed his hair out, even though this connection was audio only. And he must have had her blood on his hands somehow, because he felt it in his hair now, and the stink of his vomit hit him again. His stomach churned. You know your daughter, he managed to say.
Think he knows his own kid, whore?
Snake said. Horan waved a hand to shut the fool up. I mean, have you heard what happened to her? The silence lasted 3 deep painful heartbeats.
I've heard.
Right. So,
But I have no daughter.
Not now, he doesn't.
Snake muttered. Horan shot him another glare. I don't understand, he said into the screen.
I had a daughter once.
Said the emotionless voice.
Family's important. But it goes 2 ways. When someone decides they want out, then they have to be treated accordingly. You understand?
Cold man.
Snake said.
Disowning her when she's dead.
Easier than when she'd been alive, Horan thought. Okay, he said slowly. But well, there's IMEAN. He swallowed, closed his eyes, gathered his thoughts. There's still her body.
There are always bodies, my friend. They all go cold eventually.
But what do I do with her?
That is none of my concern. Now, if you don't mind, I have important matters to attend to.
The click of the disconnection ricocheted off Horan's skull. He sat motionless, vaguely aware of Snake shuffling around, trying to whistle again.
Anyway.
Snake said, eventually.
Thought you had a thing with this girl.
One night. A mistake. Snake nodded, looked at the girl. No, leered at her.
Wouldn't say that, bro.
She's dead.
Yeah. Too cold. Sorry, man.
But Snake still stared at her, tongue darting round his lips.
Still means she won't complain, right?
You're a sick man, Snake.
I'm not the one sitting in my own puke. And I'm not the one had daddy's girl here.
That made no logical sense to Horan, and he shook his head. A pile of vomit, a dead girl, nobody to take her, and this freak he called a friend mooching about. And this room was a dump. Not like he had a job now, either. Even if the boss did keep him on, Horan would feel weird working for him. So he'd have to find something else, or a different way to get funds. Maybe take Snake up on that offer, get his ghoul Meditech to inject whatever into Horan. Or even sell bits of his body. He laughed, thinking of one part that had got him into this mess in the first place. Probably not the kind of organ the guy wanted, though. He'd want internal stuff. A kidney, maybe. Couldn't sell too much, though. Not like he could let the guy have something important, like a heart or a brain. Not something he'd need. Horan looked down at the girl, then turned to Snake as the idea formed. Your Meditech friend want a few more organs? When Snake tilted his head in confusion, Horan grinned, waved an arm at the dead girl. How much would I get for a whole body?